where the Knicks are in the standings. As you take a look now at 14, Knox got 8, 11 for Tim Hardaway Jr. He's not getting a lot of talk, but this was the youngest guy in the draft. This guy is really still figuring out what he's capable of. But he showed some skills, guys. I mean, he has played pretty darn well, actually, even though it's been quiet.
No, Kevin Knox is definitely an NBA player. He was drafted very highly. His skill set is he can catch and shoot with the best of them. He can put the ball on the floor, and he has some athleticism. My guy for the Knicks, though, bear down, baby, Alonzo Trier, and they paid him rightfully so because he came out early and he did what he does best. He gets buckets.
And that means basically, in case you're not paying attention at home, instead of Sparty in the middle tonight, we'll just be talking about every member of the Arizona Wildcats.
And we should actually have a Wildcat graphic up there because when Rex Chapman's here, we go Kentucky Wildcats.
Oh.
So we should have a Wildcat ding every
now.
time we refer to one here. I think it'll be easy to make the transition graphically. So
Trier's an interesting guy. I mean, Grip, you sit there and you look at, and I think about it in all different levels. Kuzma, who late in the first round, 27th pick, right? We didn't talk about him too much, I don't think, nationally. Plays great in Summer League, and then we saw what he did last year and this year. Here's Trier, a guy, tons of ability. And, man, there are probably a lot of teams thinking, geez, you let him free all of a sudden, because he is almost like a raw, untapped resource with what he's doing on the floor now, right?
Yeah, and I don't want to go away from Kevin Knox before I mention. You're talking about the December Player of the Month in the Eastern Conference. He's growing and evolving very rapidly. So for him to be off to a good start in this game is not a surprise because this is one of those games for him. It's national TV. It's a statement game.
Yes.
And I think guys get up for that moment. And so you've seen that so far early here tonight. And he's carrying forward what he's been developing. I think Coach Fizdale's done a great job with a lot of their young talent. And you've seen that Scott Perry and Steve Mills have hit on an awful lot of the high variance guys that they got as either undrafted free agents or late in a draft. Trey Burke last year, an amazing find for them. Trier this year, what they did with Noah Vonleh and what they're doing for him in his career. He looks like he's going to be an asset piece for people moving forward. So that team, while they're not winning, and a lot of it is silent because they're not on national TV all the time, they're making strides. And quite often, and you know this, you were on a young team. We talked about it before we came on the air. Sometimes you find a way to lose when you're young because you haven't figured out how to win yet. But it doesn't mean you're not making strides. And so eventually it's going to build itself into a situation where you do turn the corner and start to win games. They may be a ways from that, but don't ignore the fact that they're making progress.
No doubt about it. And their growth and development, give Fizdale a lot of credit. Early on in these young players' careers, they have identified their strengths, and they play to their strengths. What did you tell Knox? Knox, when you're in there, we're going to feature you. We'll run plays for you. That gives him added confidence to become the Eastern Conference Player of the Week.
Other thing is, and you know this and have seen this, and so have you, in every sport, change of scenery sometimes is all you need. Getting in the right spot. We were talking off the air earlier when we talked about the Nets later. You think about D'Angelo Russell. What if he had started his career in Brooklyn, knock on through LA? Emmanuel Mudiay has been they have a decision to make. And who would have ever thought that would even be a decision? But he has played legitimately well enough. They have a decision to make with him. I mean, he's had some games where he's going splitting two defenders and skying for a dunk. I mean, everything that you wondered what he can do in Denver, all of a sudden in like a span of 2 months, you're seeing an unbelievable step forward from him.
And Jason, it'd be interesting to hear your thought on this. Is there a point with a young point guard where you think you can say he's not going to get it? Because obviously Mudiay was a young, really young player when he came into the league, and something happened. The flip got switched for him somehow. The light came on. What is that point as a young guard in the league where you realize the rubber's going to meet the road now and you're going to figure it out?
Well, I look directly at my situation and then Chauncey Billups. But for me, I was traded from Atlanta to Dallas. In Atlanta, I was a scoring point guard. I really just had fun and played the game. They rolled the ball out and said, Jet, go play, go have fun. When I got to Dallas, Avery Johnson took me under his wing, and he taught me how to play the point guard position. So that was in year 5. Chauncey Billups, very similar, was a journeyman earlier in his career, but he was a scoring point guard. When he got to when he got to Detroit, he really learned how to play the point guard position, and you've seen that growth and development. The other thing is management gave him an opportunity, and they didn't give up on the kid, right? That's the biggest thing for Mudiay. Once he finds his spot in New York, it seems like he's found that spot. They're giving him confidence. and he's going to flourish.
Yeah.
And Chauncey was on his 4th team, by the way, before it really clicked for him and before he was really given an opportunity. He went from being almost a journeyman as a young player, going from team to team to being Mr. Big Shot and being a Finals MVP type player. And that's a really significant stride to make. I don't think anybody can ever predict you're going to get there, but it takes a lot of time at that position. Lonzo Ball last year, if you would have just silenced the noise around him as a player and focused solely on what he was producing as a rookie point guard at his age, kid had a hell of a year. But we want everything to be so instantaneous now, and it doesn't work like that, particularly at the point guard position.
Well, and tying it all together, a guy who had a big shot tonight, which we'll show you when we go through our highlights on Game Time, but in a better player. But Victor Oladipo, coming off his situation in Orlando, right, number 2 pick, and then with Oklahoma City, look what's happened to him the last year plus, and the confidence and all that we thought. You mentioned point guards learning from
them to be competitive based on what Doc did with them last year.
Yeah, and I was just going to go to your point as you see the lead near 20 now. Gallo, 6 of 10. He's got 21. Lou Williams getting buckets. What else is new? But we were talking about in a different situation we'll get into later. We talked about young players kind of learning from vets. Grit, right? Guys who are willing to put it in. Look at the Clippers. Look at Patrick Beverly, who's on that team. Look at what Harrell is doing and the second chance buckets and opportunities, the way Harris has played. They are really doing what they do because they're certainly fundamentally maximizing everything they can, right?
No doubt about it. And think about you talk about Gorgeous Alexander.
Yeah.
The growth and development he's going to be able to have because he has a guy like Avery Bradley, who's a veteran, and Patrick Beverly.
Yep.
He's going up against those guys
pushed in practice
every day in practice, right? Then after practice, hey, they can go hang out, rebound for each other, shoot the stuff, and then go hang out, have dinner together. That's a great on-the-job training for a kid like Gorgeous Alexander, and there's not a lot of pressure on him. They take so much pressure off him because they don't say, hey, you're the next guy. And he has to do it all by himself. You look at how the struggles of Trae Young, he doesn't have anybody like that for him. So he has to learn all his on his own.
Yeah, by the way, my son's middle name Shea after the stadium, not Shea. I'm going to rename him Gorgeous Alexander if he keeps playing.
Gorgeous, baby.
Again, that's another Wildcat reference because
of course. No, I got it.
Kentucky guy.
No, I'm
real quick. Who was the guy who pushed you more than any in your career in practice?
More than any
who was the guy?
Bimbo Coles.
Yeah? Okay.
Oh, man, Bimbo would beat you up, hold you, but after practice, he'd sit right by you by the locker like, young fella, that was a good practice, wasn't it? Yeah, it was good for you because you didn't get hit in the head. and they didn't call foul, and you turned the ball over, and coach is yelling at you. But no, he was a good vet.
The other guy, too, that Gilgeous Alexander and that whole group gets to be with and really benefits from, Lou Williams has been the very best of himself this season. Having instant offense like that when you're running a team has got to be a really easy thing to deal with as a young point guard.
Yeah, just having another guy that can get you a bucket and doesn't need anybody to do so, it takes so much pressure off a young point guard.
And what's underrated by the Clippers, they actually have a lot of depth, even though you might think they've got a lot of role players. They have more role players than most teams do because they can move guys in and out and be effective.
Get about Montrezl Harrell.
That Gorgeous Alexander. Kemba, he's put together some gorgeous games. Ooh. Oh, Rodions, don't look at that. Under the Rim is next.
Jatolotro. How was that? Don't look at me like that. You try it.
I'm not doing that.
I think if I guessed it, I would have guessed Jatolotro. The J would have confused me too.
I stay in my lane.
Maybe I should have done the same thing.
In my lane. They didn't offer that class at Carolina.
Shut
up, Smitty. Shut up. Don't say anything. Set himself up with that one. Don't say anything. Carolina academics. Oh, boy. Yeah, I went to class. Might have been optional, but I went.
Once. All right, well, over the break. I knew you were going to try it.
That's the classes y'all took.
too competitive not to.
You know what, man?
Hey,
I can't believe
you set yourself up.
Hey, people in glass houses, I'm not even talking about Michigan State's problems right now.
We're going to get you to say it before the show.
No, you're really not. I was watching that segment like, is this going to be over anytime soon?
I thought you were practicing during.
No, I wasn't.
Well, during that lovely segment and over the course of today, we were talking about the young players that have had breakout seasons that
Yes.
have been really fun to watch. So Smitty, we'll start with you. I know you guys have picked a couple each. Who's impressed you
Yes.
the most?
For me, let's start off with Sabonis, DeMontis Sabonis in Indiana. And what I love about him, Brendan, is what he's doing off the bench. You haven't heard him complain at all. And another thing for me is you look at his stats and usually you see the improvement because of minutes, more minutes played. He's averaging the same amount of minutes, but he's went from 52% in two-point shots to 62, 7.7 rebounds to 9.5, and also 11.6 to 14.6 in only one start, and playing basically the same amount of minutes. Brendan, he's been phenomenal to me, and I love what he's done. He's brought the toughness, and he's also pushed Miles Turner, and has not complained because he could be starting the numbers he's putting up.
He's so reliable in the paint. 78% of his shots within 10 feet of the hoop, and he's shooting 70% true shooting percentage. So he's reliable, he's efficient, he's tough, he brings physicality. And I love what you said about Miles Turner, because last year he so underperformed, and this year all eyes were on him, and he's finally playing up to his potential.
Yeah, and I think Sabonis is pushing him, and he's done a good job. But next for me is Buddy Hield. Buddy has done a nice job. I watched Buddy when he first came into college at Oklahoma. I'm looking at OKC.
Oklahoma, yeah.
He was a defender at the wing and could shoot threes. And then he got better and better and became an offensive player his senior year, which was fantastic. Struggled a little bit when he first got into the league. I thought he was trying to do too much. And now he is in rhythm because he's worked on creating shots. He's also worked on taking good shots. And you can see the numbers right there. For me, I have a guy right now shooting 20, averaging 20 points, and also 43 from three, and also 47%. The young guy is taking good shots and knocking down shots, and he's able to create a couple of opportunities for himself off the dribble. He really couldn't do that in college.
What do you think led to the big transition from last year to this year? Because he's only failed to reach double figures twice this season. Last year, that number was 20, and it seems that every year he's been with Sacramento, he's really developing into the role there.
You know, I think he worked, and I think he understood. He watched a lot of film because he's taking good shots, he's pump faking, he's getting better looks, and also sometimes it helps to have a guy he's going to talk about later in De'Aaron Fox, who's getting him those easy shots, and that helps sometimes as a two-guard. As a basketball player, you need your teammates, and I think his teammate is setting him up with extremely
Like how you
well.
did that in the business, they call that a segue. I'm
Yeah,
learning
segue.
a lot from you. See, I told you I went to class.
Yeah, you did.
Now listen, we're going to talk about his backcourt, mate. We're talking about De'Aaron Fox, and De'Aaron Fox is one of the true budding young stars we have in this league. I actually think this young backcourt, we might be talking about them being the best backcourt in the league in a couple of years. We got to get those guys in Golden State time to slow down. But when you look at De'Aaron Fox, the biggest thing that stands out for me is he has improved his shot-making ability from the mid-range, and he has also improved his three-point shot. As a rookie, he shot 30% from three. This year, he shoots 38% from the three-point line. And what that does is it forces teams to play him differently in the screen and roll. And he is such a dynamic athlete. If you don't go under the screen and roll, if you have to give him attention where another big has to switch out and try to guard him, it's not fair. He has next level speed, agility, and quickness, and he has those athletic finishes at the rim. So the fact that De'Aaron Fox went to the lab this summer, realized he had a weakness in his jump shot, addressed that's allowed him to shoot 47% from the floor, 38% from three, and now that teams have to guard him a lot differently, his assists have gone all the way up from I think about 5.5 to about 7.5 to 8. Those are big-time numbers. Those are big-time jumps, and I love what De'Aaron Fox brings to this team. That backcourt is something special in Sacramento.
Well, he has the speed and the quickness and the size to be elite defensively as a point guard too, right? I mean, I can see him, if he really works at it in the next couple of years, being considered one of the elite.
And he wants to
defenders.
compete. You know, that's the one thing on the defensive end. You got to want to compete.
Right.
You got to want to go at guys, and he has that. And I think he's done a nice job now in his second year on that end as well.
Where's the segue into Brendan's second option?
I don't think he has one. But my second option.
He has hair, and you don't.
Hey, this guy has a lot of hair.
Always a good go-to.
Well, wait a minute, Allie. Hold on. I just basically
You can borrow some of this.
Allie, I just basically met you. You just came on set. Me and Smitty can joke. We've been going about this for a long time.
Oh, I gotta earn
You can't
it.
go with my bald head like that.
earn it.
Hey,
Next
rookie,
time.
you can't do that.
Rookie, where you go? Rookie, there you go.
I'm just messing. But this
GameTime
next
rookie.
guy has plenty of game. He has plenty of hair. He has plenty of athleticism. We're talking about Jared Allen. He has improved his game, especially from a defensive rebounding standpoint. His rebounds have gone up from last year, 5.4, this year, 8.2. He's excellent at screening and rolling and being that new school big. He is a guy that is a dynamic roller, which means he sets great screens, rolls to the basket, and then he can also do that. He is not afraid to get dunked on. He will give you a presence at both ends, whether it's dunking, blocking shots, and he has some of the best blocks this year. Blocks against Blake, LeBron James, Anthony Davis. It doesn't matter. If you come down the lane, you know that his presence is there. And he only averages 1.4 blocks. But when I watch him play, his presence is bigger than that because he changes a lot of shots. A lot of times guards come in and they have to throw that floater just a little bit higher when they see Jarrett Allen rotating. So I like Jarrett Allen. I love how he has improved his game. 11 points, 8 rebounds. He stays within himself, doesn't do too much, but he's very good at what he does.
It's been so long, guys, since we've had Jimmy Butler drama. It feels like it was every single day when he was in Minnesota, and now that he's been with the 76ers, we haven't heard it. Oh, wait, there was more Jimmy Butler drama. We're going to talk Jimmy Butler right after the break.
Hey, Jimmy Butler out there acting like Antonio Brown.